Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another vlog and another video. So tonight's vlog and tonight's video, just gonna be a low key kind of video. Just gonna kind of talk about some things here. So summer summer 2019 summer 2019 is gonna be soon approaching. Time when most everybody, where things do allow for it, are just going to want to really do everything they can to really be able to have a life the way that you prefer to have, the way you prefer to have a life, the way you prefer to have a life during the summer months and stuff. And for me, that'll most likely that'll most likely that'll most likely work out just that'll most likely work out just fine. It's just that we got just a little bit of a slight dilemma kind of going on a little bit. Initially, initially my mom, initially my mom, initially my mom, initially my mom and initially my mom and I had been talking all along about perhaps this year getting like some kind of summer YMCA membership to this place nearby me. But the problem is not just because they don't really offer any adult swimming. They initially say that it's fine for even adults to go there and you know just do their thing while families with kids are there, and that's all fine. That's all good. That's all cool. That's fine. You know, and being with an agency, they say that like the way such memberships may kind of work more so like it's more like a branch membership than the the camp the camp location the YMCA camp locations wouldn't be so much it wouldn't be so much accessible, would be not so much accessible. It would be mostly just the branch locations, and for them they have just indoor pools, and which ultimately would be fine with me making that compromise for that one situation. You know, anybody in the anybody during the summer months would be more into the outdoor pools and stuff. I do the best I can to try to just to try to just know and understand that there is obviously alternatives and stuff for places that have like outdoor pools prior to the place we're originally imposing on and thinking about and thinking about and thinking about. Um, or the amusement parks around here in and around in Rochester and around Rochester as well, which shall most likely work out. It's just the way I tend to go through deal the way I tend to go through the way I tend to go the way I tend to go the way I tend to go through dealing with these situations and stuff tends to be taking it a bit more serious than necessary, and even sometimes a slight bit over the top in a way, over the top and over the top, over the top in a way. Not too over the top, but a little bit over the top in a way. I guess sometimes I just can't help it, just knowing that you know, over the past year, things aren't so bad in certain parts of the area right now, but around this time last year, we had certain parts of the area that became a good bit more high crime areas, to the point where it was in best interest to avoid those areas as much as possible, such as Charlotte Beach, Lake Ontario Beach State Park, and Charlotte Beach and stuff. the fact that this spring so far, right now, up to this point, just about the middle of May 2019 and stuff, cooler temperatures right now. I've asked my mom and company if they've heard anything yet on the news for here in Rochester about any any kind of rough situations or any like big like fights or anything happening around Lake Ontario Beach State Park, Lake Ontario Beach State Park and stuff, or Charlotte Beach. And so far the answer has been no. Obviously, mainly because of cooler temperatures and stuff. So that keeps a little bit of hope alive for now of maybe being able to loosen things up a little bit this year in the summer. Probably not that much. Probably not that much. Probably not that much though. Once it finally warms up, things probably will change. Chances are that'll change. Chances are there's probably a good chance that chances are that'll change probably once it finally warms up more and more as we get through the rest of May 2019 and head into and transition into June 2019 in a couple weeks. And as far as the biggest thing that I think about is just yeah, we do have plenty of access to certain places that are local here in Rochester throughout the summer months when it comes to taking cool dips and stuff. It's just the YMCA Camp North Point nearby here doesn't sound as promising as we thought, based on the way things work there nowadays and stuff. But we try to have fair confidence that there are other fair alternatives and stuff. Fair alternatives and stuff, such as maybe Hamlin Beach State Park. Probably won't be able to do that all the time this summer, but maybe at least once or a couple of times. And which you've seen that we have done you have seen me do a few of my videos there, and one of them just a couple weeks ago with my dad recently when it was windy out and waves are crashing down and stuff a little bit. You may remember a little bit of a glimpse of that. May remember a little bit of a glimpse of that. The biggest struggle that I have is being in such situations like this one where sometimes we know nobody's trying to control nobody around here is necessarily trying to control someone's life and stuff, but I guess you see all those other people out there. Sometimes it's hard to cope with. Some people may say it's hard to cope with the world a little bit sometimes, and that's kind of how I tend to look at it sometimes. Earlier tonight, when I gave one of my other people outside of the place here a buzz. Again, this all goes back to taking certain situations a good bit more serious than necessary. I'm getting a little over the top with it. We kind of slightly collided a little bit over things, and I'm just saying how there should be no reason to panic. There should be no reason to panic about situation stuff regarding resources for taking resources for taking cool dips, and stuff all summer long this year, summer 2019 stuff. It's just that it's going to take a little bit more to seek out what other options. We do have other options, but even other options on top of that too. The fact is that during the summer months, Anybody would agree with me on this. All you want to do is make your plans and go and do them. And all you want to do is be able to have a life the way you want to be able to have a life during the summer months. And people will say, most people are going to, will say sometimes, we understand that all you want to do during the summer months is make your plans and go and do them. And we'll work with you the best we can. It's just that around here, just got to make sure in certain dates that, that they would be able to be dates when the resources for getting around would be able to be available enough. And past few years, including last year and last summer, last season, last season, last season, last season, last season, last season and stuff, we were pretty successful. Sometimes, the way people deal with enviousness, during the summer months, like say you got somebody you come across, you're talking about how, like say there's a day that, it's forecast to be like in the mid upper 80s or low mid 90s and stuff. And then you're talking about, well, we remember these days back in like late February or end of February, early March, and we were like feeling like we were going into the refrigerator or the freezer. Well, tomorrow, on the other hand, it's going to seem a lot more like we're really going into the oven. You probably have an idea what I'm talking about, right? And then you get these people saying, "Oh, we'll be in the pool all afternoon tomorrow." Sometimes, enviousness like that, it is obvious that I may kind of struggle a little bit with enviousness sometimes. Things should look up all right to be able to be reasonably successful with stuff based on getting in the water, hanging out by, the water, or hanging out by the pool sometimes. In certain situations, certain sanctuaries, it's just if certain places are in parts of the area that are that turn out to be more high crime and stuff. Then we're staying away from that part of the area. We know that. As much as taking public transportation certain places like that before has been a way to overcome obstacles around here, doesn't mean you got to shut the door on that. It's just that, you might have to kind of not be putting your nose in that in that kind of situation so much if it is in a part of the area that does happen to be more around more high crime areas, where like there's so many, where like there tends to be a lot more, shootings and stuff, that's not the part of the area to be putting your nose in so much. The biggest thing, last summer was definitely pretty successful doing quite a bit of stuff. It's just last summer was not on the best terms based on the big picture. Had just, at the time faced termination from Wegmans and, did do 2018 Buffalo Bills camp for the amount of time it went on, but things were also kind of, up in the air about permanent job stuff. Now at this point in time, that's all fixed and all back on track and all back on track and all back on track and all back on track, with job at BJ's, and everybody's going to definitely hope. Everybody's definitely going to pray that, we'll definitely be on much better terms this year and this summer for sure. No one wants to see someone have, 2 summers in a row of being on not the best terms. One's pretty much enough. If it happened, if we had that kind of summer last year, probably no need for us to have that. Probably no need for us to have that this year, and there's probably no reason whatsoever for us to have any of that this year. So just got to do everything to remain on good terms and hold up our end of the deal, and things shall be a lot better this year and this summer for 2019. You know, as far as like limits and restrictions go, yeah, you may think sometimes, oh, I could just turn the limits and restrictions down. But you just got to understand that the more that happens, the potential for being in for a rude awakening could become a lot higher and higher. So, but once again, you know, but hopefully, I should be able to be reasonably successful this year again, this summer going and taking cool dips at such places, especially the amusement parks and maybe other places prior to that as well. See what happens with Hamlin Beach. See what happens with Hamlin Beach State Park, maybe at least once or a couple of times this season. Again, you've seen me. You've seen me do. You've seen me do. You've seen me do. You've seen me do a few of my. You've seen me do a few of my. You've seen me do a few of my videos there so far. Especially a couple weeks ago with Dad when it was windy and the waves were crashing down. But that's as far as I'm gonna bring. But that's as far as I'm gonna bring the vlog and the video there. If you enjoyed this vlog and this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up for sure. Be sure to go down and comment down. Be sure to go down and comment. Be sure to go down and comment down below. Be sure to go down and subscribe. Be sure to go down and subscribe. Be sure to go down and subscribe. Have a good night, everybody. See you in the next vlog, in the next video. Peace.